The presence is like the rock. You know, when you stood up, I didn't know if I needed security or was
I am your security. 2008 hits. And we get decimated, like just annihilated. Every property, every fund, every investment I was in. And I'm bawling like a baby because I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated. And I give the guy my ring and I go, I'll come back and get that. And he looks at me and he's like, they never do. I'm like, excuse me? They never do. And you got these kids who are looking at you. And I remember one of the drivers for me was, you will either be a warning to your children, like, heck no, I ain't gonna be like him, or you'll be the demonstration of what's possible. When I get a message from one of my sons who are like, Daddy, you're my hero, I wanna be like you, I'm like, yes. For those who are like, I want more, I was like, roll the sleeves up, get ready to go. Like, get ready to take your lickings and like pay the price, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. It is like, man, it's worth the journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Listen, I'm excited for this next guest because you've probably seen him perhaps on your favorite team, or perhaps you've probably seen this team crush your favorite team. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting with the one and only Setema. How's it going, fam?
Good to meet you, my brother. Great to be here. Thank you.
Hey, listen, man, first and foremost, your presence is like the rock. You know, when you stood up, I didn't know if I needed security or was
I am your security.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know, when people hear like Super Bowl champion, think about that for a second. They expect like one kind of story. Like, what's a moment in your life that completely defies that script?
2009, looking at my wife, yelled at my son because we have no food. And I look at the Super Bowl ring and that's the only thing I have that has value. And I'm like, I got to sell this thing to go put food on the table. That moment was defining for me, to sell the ring.
Let's unpack that, right? We're starting off heavy early, right? So that moment defines you, right? You won the Super Bowl championship in 2002, right?
Yeah.
So this is 7 years after it. What happened in those 7 years to get you to that moment of like, you know what? This is it. Let's get rid of my past so I can sustain my future.
So came home from the NFL, jumped into the mortgage industry. Mortgage led to real estate led to hard money. Lending was millions of dollars. It was an ease. I wasn't that good back then. I wasn't that good. I just hustled. And if you were back in that industry, you could make money. I was in the industry. I was making money. And 2008 hits. And we get decimated, like just annihilated. Every property, every fund, every investment I was in, down the drain. So by 2009, I went from a 6,000 square foot home, an 8,000 square foot home, cars to nothing, sold everything, lost everything. And there was a moment of decision, a moment of truth of like, I can hold on to my Super Bowl ring. And I bawled like a baby. You know what it takes to get to the next level. Success, business, sports, whatever, music. It takes so much to get to the NFL. Like it takes a pound of your flesh. Now I got the Super Bowl ring and I'm being driven to the airport and I'm bawling like a baby because I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. And I give the guy my ring and I go, I'll come back and get that. And he looks at me and he's like, they never do. I'm like, excuse me? I was like, I'm going to get my ring back. And he's like, they never do. I was like, how many rings do you have? And he goes, I have hundreds of rings. He's a collector. And I still stay in touch with him. And I was like, I'm going to come get my ring. He's like, well, I hope you do. And I don't have it yet. I actually went back to him and offered him a good chunk of cash. And he's like, oh, you're back to get your ring. Not yet. And I've always remembered that moment of time because it was embarrassing, it was humiliating, but I knew on the bottom, I knew when I'm like in the pit, bankrupt, ring gone, like in this tiny, I can barely pay my rent now. I was like, one day I will tell the story of how I overcame and how we got back. And I'm gonna put the ring on. And the ring was more than just a Super Bowl ring. It represented hard work and sacrifice. And then it represents like who I became in the process to give this up and then go get it back. So I'm on that path still. And one more thing, I'm knocking doors as a door-to-door salesman in Texas, Georgia, Iowa. And every time I go knock on the door, I'm like, man, like I don't have the ring, which was a representation of commitment and dedication and work. So I'm on that mission still knocking doors, still trying to change lives, still trying to make a difference.
Yeah, I got to ask you the question everybody's thinking right now. Did you get the ring back?
Not yet.
Okay.
He won't give it to me.
He won't.
Not yet. His words were soon. And I offered him 6 figures for it. I was like, I got cash. He's like, not yet. I'm like, oh, you're a smart investor. Okay. But he stays in touch with me. And one day I will get that back. Because my 3 sons who are 18, 15, and 13, they've never even seen the ring.
Yeah.
They just hear about it. They see pictures of it. So,
you know, what's interesting, I think about is the athletes in their mind and how they train for something exceptional. If you think about it, there was a case study done on a lot of NBA draft picks and how many shots they took in the morning before they even went to school. Rob Dillingham, in fact, took over 400 shots and had to make them before he got on the school bus. And if you think about that, I imagine that there's a sweat equity that's inside of you that's determined. Like, what is that sweat equity? What does that look like for you now in your everyday journey? Like, what are those practices that have come from you being an athlete that you're applying into this field now?
Yeah. Every morning, the moment I wake up, the moment my feet hit the ground, it's gratitude right from my mind and my heart. Thank you, God. Every step to the bathroom, every step to the kitchen sink, I do a visualization called conscious self-creation. They're like affirmations, but for me, they're declarations of creation. I am love. I am light. I'm a lover, a leader, a lighthouse. I'm a world-class 5-star husband who shows up for my wife every day. I'm a world-class 5-star dad who's patient with my sons. I make people better. And I mean, this is just off every day. So I visualize, there's breath work. There's so much involved in my daily, like my first hour of the day. It primes me ready to go. And then, of course, now I got to show up for my kids. So now I'm talking to my kids and my sons and showing up for them. And I took everything from sports, the visualization, the discipline, like the dedication, just that like relentless self-talk. I mean, you see guys because of social media, guys, I got this. Let's go, baby, all day. Like if the best of the best do that just in their lives. Hey, I'm a wonderful mother. I'm enough. I'm more than enough. So those are some of the things that I do every day.
I like that. You're staying grounded. I can imagine if I met the 15-year-old Setema, like if I met you like in your hometown, if we think about that, what's the one thing that he'll be obsessed with, like completely obsessed with that no one would see coming?
Obsessed with that 15. I love to make people happy. I've really tried to be kind to people because in my 6th, 7th, 8th grade years, my folks were divorced. I couldn't look a girl I could look an adult in the eyes. If I saw a pretty girl, I was like, no, like zero self-esteem. Then I had this conversion to the Lord when I was 14 years old, and that changed everything. So I started to realize, like, man, I'm a beacon of light. Like everywhere I go, like I leave people better than I found them. So at that age, early on, I always wanted the most motivational, the most inspirational on the football field. I just learned to talk, and that was it. It was just obsessed with, can I get better? Can I be better? I mean, I sent messages to my boys this morning back in Vegas. Hey, get better today, baby. Every day in every way, we get better and better. And if you say that to my sons every day in every way, they're going to be like, get better and better. And we have all these phrases. I'll say, Daddy loves you. And they'll say, no matter what. Like, so we have all these phrases locked in, and I'm obsessed with helping people really become their best self.
You know, I think you're obsessed with being a really good dad already. And I think that's a really good trait. I wonder does that come from? Did you come up in a household where your dad was present?
And you talk about my parents, and I'm named after my dad. I'm a junior. I just saw my parents work so hard, and we didn't have financial wealth, but man, they food, love, prayer, scriptures. Every once in a while, a slipper flying across the room to hit me in the head. And I just knew that I wanted my sons to know that their dad loves them. And I want, like, my nieces and nephews. I got nieces and nephews, excuse me.
Here you go, man.
I just, I want my sons to know, like, I love them. So I built my business. So I take them to the gym. I train them on the field. Sometimes, I gotta like, dude, you better get up right now, boy. Like I will drag you to the gym. And then after the gym, they're like, thanks, Dad. Like, thanks. I know. I was like, I know, man. We just got to get there. So I do love what my parents provided for me. And it just inspired me to be my language is a world-class 5-star daddy.
I love it, man. So there's this common trait I'm finding out with some of the most strongest physical seeing people that you can ever look at is that, especially some of the most masculine looking men, is that you never know what they've been through to get that soft. And I feel like that's you. And as I'm listening to you've lived at the top of the mountain. You've been at the bottom of the valley. Which one taught you more about who you are?
Man, the bottom, underneath the rocks, in the darkness, where there's no light, where you want to give up, that teaches you so much because you really see what you're made of. It's easy to be a front runner. It's easy when you got money in the account, when money's flowing and you're healthy and you got access. But when you're on the bottom and you feel like no one believes in you, even though people believe in you, and you feel like you're not any good and you're not worth it, that's when you're like, dude, I got to get up. I got to dust the dirt off. And I got to go to work again. And even if you don't feel like it, there were days where I just lay in bed, or even when I was married with my kids, and those depressed days, I'd sit there and just lay there. And I'm like, okay, eventually you got to get up, and you got these kids who are looking at you. And I remember one of the drivers for me was, I heard this from someone and I've never forgot it. They're like, you will either be a warning to your children, like, heck no, I ain't going to be like him, or you'll be the demonstration of what's possible. And I want my sons to be like, man, I want to be like my dad. That drives me. So when I get a message from one of my sons who are like, Daddy, you're my hero, I want to be like you, I'm like, yes, that is like $1 billion to me. And that's it, man.
Man, I can relate to you more. I'm a father for, I got two girls, 2 boys in the middle. They're going like left and right, always fighting. And you look at them and you see them and you see yourself, but you're right. They also are looking at you and how you handle certain situations. So I really like that a lot about you. And I think about what you're getting known for, right? You've been involved with sports, but you have like this game changer mindset. I want to really break this down for our audience because they're battling this thing right now. They're trying to figure out, okay, what should I do next? What's most important? You teach hunger history. Let's talk about this, right? Like, can you recall a day like you had to prove to yourself when nobody was watching?
So I go back to 2011. I'm a door-to-door salesman. I'm in my mid to late 30s. I've been a millionaire already. I've had millions in the account. Like, people say that, but until you've actually seen that in your account, like, so you kind of think, oh, I've arrived. I'm pretty hot stuff.
Facts.
And I'm in Easley, South Carolina. Never forget this, man. I'm like looking at the clouds. I'm praying to God. The wind's hitting my face. The clouds cover the sun. And I'm like, how in the world did I get here? Like, these are old neighborhoods, the East Coast. I'm like, and I remember thinking, okay, I could see my sons' faces, my family, my wife and my sons. I could see my parents. And I'm like, man, Tema, like you better get up and you better go show them. Like, bring home the buffalo. I was like, you better go hunt. You ain't bringing home no like snails and grubs. Like, you better go bring home buffalo. And I remember just thinking, all right, dude, get up and go. Like, get up and go. And every day that summer, I was like, get up. If you don't hunt and you don't kill, they're going to starve. And that does not work for me. So that was a moment where I'm like, I got to go. And I remember being sick and throwing up, and they're like, yeah, just take a day off. I'm like, take a day off? We only got 20 weeks in the season of knocking. So give me some Red Bull, give me a 5-hour, give me something, like, let me go. And that summer, that was a game changer for me.
Yeah, it's this thing, I'm a guy that like listens to music, all type of music. Like, we all got our Christian, our gospel music we like, but I come from an era of like hip hop. And one of the things I think about is some of the guys who didn't make it, but they had like the hardest bars. J.R. Ryder, who is a guy who was definitely part of the Dipset. He had this lyric where he said, you got to have that hunger that you had when you first started. When I look at you and I hear you, it's like a hunger is inside of you. And it's like you just started. And you think about it from the things you teach, the 3 irons. How do they play out when the market punches you in the face?
So I love this conversation because as an athlete, right, I'm also a musician, but not like I dabble a little bit on the keys. I play a little guitar, I like to harmonize, sing in church. But, you know, when we talk about being hungry, like just, I want this thing, no matter what's going on with the business or the bank account or how fit I am, I have to remind myself, Setema, like, if you don't get up and go, like someone's going to chase you down. And again, this is just the way my mind works. It's like the old proverb, every morning a gazelle wakes up and it's got to outrun the lion. And every morning a lion's got to get up and it's got to go. So for me, it's if I can stay hungry, and that's one of these 6 H's of one of my curriculums is hungry. Like, if you don't innovate and you don't stay in front and you don't keep up, you're going to lose. Like you see the Blockbusters and the Nokias and all these different brands that disappeared. They stopped being hungry. They got complacent. When you get complacent, you crash and then you hit the crisis. I'm like, I can't have that. So no matter how fit or how much money or how good the family is, every morning you got to wake up and be like, okay, it's like training camp. Like, dude, you gotta go. Like, you gotta go prove it again. And then at the end of the day, when your head hits the pillow and you're like feeling the cool side of the pillow, it's like, thank you, God. Like, I gave my best today.
You just know it, right? And you also are I think about it almost like being in an incubator of winning culture. You think about Patriots, right? So you come from a culture of just winning. So after pawning the ring, what was the first move you made to start winning again?
Well, I get rid of the ring, get some cash, and then for another 2 years, I get my butt kicked. Still, I put money into these programs. I was like, all right, put the money here. Nothing worked yet. Like, it still didn't work. So I'm like, really? Like, all the money I got from the ring has gone, and I'm like further in debt and further in the hole. So that's a message I would share with people. Like, you go at it. There's no guarantee. The only guarantee is get knocked down, get back up, pivot, adjust, adapt, keep listening, keep fighting. And I remember after selling the ring, I'm watching Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Oh, I know the real.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, man. And I'm watching this and I'm bawling. And my son's like, Daddy, are you okay? And he has no idea we're broke. And I'm like, dude, like when Will Smith's in there and he's like, come on. I'm like, that's me right now. I'm like, just don't quit. So it took me a couple more years after I sold the ring before I got back on my feet, but I never quit. I just, there were days I'd sit there like, and my wife would look at me and I'm like, I'm getting up, I'm going, and I'd show up to church like a zombie, like, how you doing? Oh, if I was any better, I'd be twins. And I'm going through the motions of everything, like, I'd be triplets today. I'm like, dude, I'm so miserable. But this calling in my heart was like, you were born, you were meant to do something. And I would think about Joseph of Egypt and just these different biblical figures who 20 years or 8 years in the wilderness or this. And so I'm like, dude, Setema, like, dude, come on, man, slap yourself. Setema, get up. Yeah. It's only been like 4 years of broke. Like, you're fine. Just keep fighting. And so here we are.
Yeah, man, I like it. I had the opportunity to meet Chris Gardner, the real guy for Pursuit of Happiness. I was on a television set with him, had dinner with him, and I can tell you this, he has that same hunger as if he's still locked in that bathroom. He would still think he's locked in that bathroom. And his attention to detail is crazy. And I think if you're listening to this, you're motivated by Setema, what he's talking about, and this is something that you should really pay attention to, I want you to challenge yourself into how to get back to center. When you think about athletes, right, most athletes don't transition well. What's the inner work that they're avoiding that kills them after the spotlight?
The inner work, I would say, is they gotta get honest, like really honest, transparent, and tell the truth. The truth is, just because you're a high-performing athlete, just because you got some money in the bank account, that does not mean anything. It means you've got some opportunities, but I tell every athlete or business owner or parent or stop lying and tell the truth. The truth is, this is what is the truth about where I'm at. I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. Tell the truth. Hey, some people are like, hey, I've got some suicidal thoughts or I feel like quitting. The truth. And then tell the truth about what you want. And most people, if you ask them, what do you want? They're like, I don't know. Yes, you do. You just don't want to say it because you're afraid. So if athletes can just say the truth is, I don't want to be broke again, or I don't want to run out of money, or I want to stay relevant, or I want to help mom and dad. And if athletes and people can just stop lying. Jesus said the truth will set you free. Truth is a knowledge of things as they really are, not faded and skewed and filtered. The truth is the truth. So if athletes can do that, like they got a shot, because we can, if we operate in truth and light, we can really see things as they are, not as maybe the world or things get skewed. And I tell people, get honest about what you want, the life that you want. The old phrase that says, if you climb the ladder and you get to the top and it's leaning against the wrong wall, you're like, what did I just do? You can prevent that by checking yourself, having good people, adjusting, pivoting, telling the truth. Hey, is this what I really want? Is this working? So tell the truth. Stop lying.
I like this. There's a lot of people who are listening right now who are struggling to tell the truth because they don't have the right partner. They don't have the right person to go to. And they're afraid if they tell them the truth that they'll leave. When I think about you rebuilt 7 figures without burning your marriage down. What's the habit or decision that made that possible?
So inside of marriage, there's got to be some, what I call fierce conversations or crucial conversations. And I've been married 19 and a half years. We've gone through our own fires and tribulations and like real challenges. And if you can't tell your spouse, this is how I feel. This is when you do this, I feel this way and I want this. I want more. I want less. If you can't do that, you're going to have some real problems. Everyone goes through challenges. It's not that you're going to go through it. It's not if you're going to go through it. It's when you go through it, how will you respond? How will you deal with it? How will you confront it? And most people avoid and most people hide. And then they hide and then they go do something on the side. Just get like real clear and confront and be straight and be direct no matter how much it hurts.
It's good. You think about it, right? Thank God I'm at
nine. Real quick there.
Good.
I like the way you interview, man.
We just getting there, man. We almost wrap it up.
Different interviews. I love it all.
Different energy. Yeah.
So, all right, let me know when you're ready. Ready?
Yeah, yep.
You know what I found out about marriage, by the grace of God, I'm at 9 years. Next year will be 10 years. 10 years, we're going to do it up, man. But you made it to 19 and a half. So that's amazing, first and foremost. And so one thing that I learned about marriage is that there's phases. And if you're sticking with someone, you find out that you become a different person through the phases. And I think that's so interesting. And I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of different phases. I got to ask you, what phase do you feel like you're at now?
The phase I'm in right now with marriage, 19 and a half years, and this is real. Like, we've literally had conversations about divorce and about separation and about what we like and dislike. We've never had this in 19 years of marriage. So we're going through our real, I guess you would call it, like in Christian scriptures, there's a story about a man by the name of Abraham called to sacrifice or something. Like, they call it an Abrahamic trial. Well, like, we're going through it. And we're weathering the storm. Like, we're having real conversations. And if we can get through this thing, like, it gets us to another level.
Facts.
We've known each other for 25 years, married for 19 and a half. So, like, that's real talk. Sometimes people get on the podcast, everything is like, I'm like, dude, we're in the fire right now. Like, the fire. Like, I'm in the wilderness. There's a cloud covering me by day. At night, there's a pillar of fire, like, children of Israel and Moses. So we're in that phase right now. And it is like, oh, I've never been here before. This is
Yeah.
new territory for me. So that's where we're at. And again, it's like, can we get through it? And we're pushing through. We're working on it.
I like that answer, man, and make it through it, man, because it has its benefits. And I got to ask you this because I feel like we're having like a breakthrough for like the athlete that's watching. You know, there's this like identity crisis that I feel like a lot of athletes have, especially the ones who never make it to the level you made it to. They got to figure out what's next for them. They don't know how to, move in certain places. They don't know what their next job could be. They feel kind of awkward in places where in the past they will be praised. And so I feel like there's a way that we could help a lot of them. And a lot of them right now are dealing with NIL money. Some of them are dealing with money they have now, but they might have an injury this season. What's the one money belief that still sneaks up on you and you have to fight off?
So, great question, Shawn. Like, the one money belief that hurt me before was that God didn't want me to be wealthy. I should just be grateful. And it's not that important. And I'm going to tell you right now, God does want us to prosper. How could we help others? You can only pour into others what you have. And I believe this truly, that the Lord doesn't really, it's not that as important to him, the work that we do. But as a man, we have a duty to provide. And depending on what a man chooses to do to provide and the amount of money he chooses to make, the Lord can use him in a very different capacity. And one belief I love is just that one of the principles is dollars follow value. So we exchange our dollars for something we value more than the money. And again, I have this watch. I exchange money for it. So I always tell people, look, when it comes to money, just instead of trying to make money, just be like, okay, eyes open, heart open, brain on. What can I do to create value for someone? How can I create value, solve problems, alleviate pain, make their life better, provide an experience? If I have my brain on, in other words, looking to serve people, make their life better, they pay money for that. And that's how we exchange money. I just DoorDashed some Diet Dr. Pepper, some soda, and breakfast because I wanted breakfast. I gave them money. They gave me food. That's an exchange. So when it comes to money, to the athletes and to everyone out there, like money is very abundant, but you have to develop the skill sets and the mindsets to be able to know how to create value and to make a difference in the world. And then money flows back to you and you keep moving that money around.
Yeah, I like this. There's this thing that you mentioned, a word called service. And I think about that word, I'll tell you, and I tell my audience this, I'll tell you guys what I've been praying for. I've been praying for God to give me an unbelievable amount of money just to see what I can do with it. But also to do it in a way, because service is so important to me and discernment is so important to me, that the right people show up, that I'm not even looking for them. And that tells me that I know what my skill set is and my capabilities, that I just don't amplify anybody, that I amplify the right people. I feel like you're the right person. And now I want to talk about legacy, because you mentioned your sons. And so if your sons were launching their first business today, what would you tell them to ignore from traditional business service?
Yeah, to ignore from traditional, I would tell them, look, go find, because there's traditional says, hey, go and sit in this formal classroom and go get the piece of paper. Nothing wrong with that. If that's your path, man, go get it. I'd say go find the right mentors and coaches, the people who are doing what you want to do, the people who have already built it. Pattern, buy their books, buy their courses, go pay them, go write them a check. And if my sons were to say, well, Dad, I don't have any money, I said, well, let me ask you this. Okay. If someone put a gun to mama's head and said, could you come up with $100,000 in 48 hours? Could you come up with, and they're like, yeah, I'd come up with $1 million. That's the difference. You need a reason to go find the money. So anyone who's like, oh, I can't find the money, I don't have the money. Well, of course, nobody got the money. They go find it. They go create it. So I would tell my sons, find the right mentors, find the right rooms, and then ignore all the flash and the bling. Like, if I make this much, I live on this much, and then I save and invest the difference, and I spend it by investing it. don't think like I was frivolous early on. I went and bought a Mercedes, then I went and bought a Range, then I went and bought a Denali, then I went and bought these homes, and I was buying $1,000 sunglasses. I'm like, what? Could somebody have just slapped me, please? Like, but that was my first go with money. This time around, I'm like, let's be smart with it. Let's again. I also believe that money is a stewardship, and if we do right, like the parable of the talents with the things we've been given, God, the Lord gives us more. So you got to be wise over $1,000 or $100. If you can't manage 1,000, ain't no way you can manage 1 million or 10 million. So be smart with what you got so you can move on.
I like that advice. And for my sons, if you're watching this, I mean, they're only like 5 and 4, but at some point you might watch this. Go read a book called Profit First. You know, that's a book that, I mean, it changed my whole mindset on entrepreneurship, because you're right. When you get the money, you're like, oh, I'm just going to spend this. But when you start allocating it by percentages, now you feel better about what you're spending, and you know a little bit about more what you're saving. So what's the last hill like you're willing to die on when it comes to how you lead, how you earn and live?
That's a beautiful question. The last hill I'm willing to die on. I would say if you get really clear and committed to this thing that you want, I call it a holy cause. Like the holy cause is, what is it that you want? Why does that matter? And you dig deep enough, I'm willing to die on the hill that I know what I'm supposed to do. I had millions of dollars in my mortgage days. I had a lot. It wasn't it. Like my thing, the way God built me and constructed me, I'm built to serve. I'm built to contribute. I'm built to lift, to inspire, to instruct and coach and mentor. I'm not a rocket scientist, but God made someone else to be a rocket scientist. So that's his gift. So for me, it's like really choose the purpose and then go after it, and don't stop. Don't, like, if you feel called to do it, don't stop. The desires that people have in their heart, to me, that never turn off, they're divine. I've had these desires since I was 19 years old to go do this thing that I'm doing. And people told me I was crazy. They're like, I remember putting like a quote up with, you know, now everyone does it. You put your face on a picture and you put a quote up and you put it on the line. I remember the first time I did that years ago, and people were like, did you really just put your own face on there? I was like, yes, I did. Yes. That's, I believe in myself that much. So that's what I would tell people is, you feel something inside calling you, go get it and don't stop. And God will provide a way. It might be hard as heck, man. In fact, it will be. It will be. It will be so hard. You will be challenged and tested more times than you can imagine. Like, you will want to give up. You will feel like you hit a brick wall. You will feel like you're trapped underwater. And you got to be like, okay, God called me to this. He's going to show me how, but I got to go. I got to move. I got to lift. I got to move. I got to walk. I got to climb. I can't stop. And I'm willing to die on that hill.
I like that. You know, one thing about desires, if you really think about it, if you were to really like put it all up on a whiteboard and go Tony Stark with it, a lot of your desires go back to when you was a teenager, and when you were 14 years old, you just have to connect the dots. And if you look at what you were doing at that age, if you really connect the dots, you'll find out what you're doing right now. It's not only what you were called to do, but it's how you really lead impact in a whole different direction. I think about when I was 14 years old, man, I threw a high school graduation party and I made $6,000. And it turned me into like the biggest business networking marketer. I had so many different schools. I mean, can you imagine a 14-year-old nowadays with even the audacity to think that 18-year-olds would party with them? But they did, you know, and that skill set later on led to me being marketing and branding and having street teams to then going corporate to doing what I'm doing today. So follow those desires. If you're listening right now to Setema, make sure you follow those desires, because they're going to lead you to something that's going to feel like you're on a long journey. I want to ask you the question that we've asked every single person that's ever been on this podcast. If you were getting ready to walk across that stage, grab that degree, or perhaps not even get a degree at all, football, nothing, and you're asking yourself the question of the show, school's over, now what? What advice would Setema give?
Get clear, Make sure you like know exactly what it is you're trying to go towards, and then go all in. And when you hit brick walls and you hit valleys and pits, pivot, adjust, and go again. I was going to tell people, because we think that this is going to be some smooth sailing. Boats were not, no, what is it? Boats weren't meant to sit in the harbor, and the best captains were on the roughest seas. You don't learn how to be a captain sitting in the harbor. Like you're out on the waves and the winds and the storms and the sharks and the pirates. If you want that amazing life at the end of your life where you've fully lived and you're empty and your tank is empty and you're like, man, I'm giving everything I have, that fulfillment, you better be ready for the journey. Like you better be ready. And I would tell everyone that's like, what's next? And like, it's not like an amazing life is not for the faint of heart. You gotta have thick skin. You're gonna get punched. Your teeth are gonna get knocked out. You're gonna be lied to. You're gonna be stolen. It's gonna be freaking hard. And it's more than worth it. And that's what I would tell people. Like, if you give up at the first sign of adversity, I call it the mediocre box, the playground is over there. Just go over there. But for those who are like, I want more, I was like, roll the sleeves up, get ready to go. Like, get ready to take your lickings and like pay the price. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. It is like, man, it's worth the journey. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth the price. It's worth the effort. It's worth all of it. The flights, the late nights, the trying to payroll and figure out how to feed your kids. It's worth all of that. Because at the end of the day, you're sacrificing to serve other people with your program, product, service. You're doing something to help others, and then the money comes back. And as you go up, they go up, and you lift them up, and they lift you up, and that's the journey we're on. So that's what I would tell them.
I like that. You know what's crazy about that? When you're doing it that way, it's so much fun. It doesn't even feel like work. And then you find yourself doing it when everyone else is asleep, and it won't even feel like you're doing something that's bothering you. You don't even want to go to sleep when you know you're on the right path. Man, I appreciate you, man. You rocked the episode. Right now, people want to know more about you. They want to know where they can find you. Give them all of your info so we can stay in touch.
You got it. So Setema Gali, SETEMAGALI.com. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all socials. And I got a free book right now that I'm giving away just to help people with that, and just cover the shipping. I'd love to help. If someone hears this episode, if you hear this episode and this helps you and it resonates with you, follow me and shoot me a message. And I get messages from people. In fact, real talk, a guy that I sat next to on the plane yesterday coming here, he's like, dude, I knew I should have talked to you. I just looked you up. Man, you have this great energy in this. I'm like, I followed him back. I'm like, thanks for the message. I was like, I was just tired. I slept most of the flight. We didn't get a chance to talk. So if you're watching this, follow me. And I appreciate you. Man, this was great to be with you. Like, this was awesome.
Yeah, I got to ask you, what made you decide to put on a free event called Game Changer?
Yeah. So every event we've done in the past was a significant tuition, right? It was a real investment. It was hundreds, thousands of dollars. And after you do these events for a decade, you realize, okay, you are excluding so many people who they can't do that. They can't pay $5,000 or $10,000. And so, sit back, reevaluating, and I'm like, what would happen if we gave people an opportunity to just get what we normally charge a lot of money for? And my heart, the Spirit of God is like, all right, let's go. So I want everyone who has any kind of tiniest desire to get the book. I want them to get the content that works. I want people to feel again, to see if they've been blind. I want them to feel, to see, to hear, and to know that they're worth it, which is why everyone who gets the book, Game Changer, right? I'm doing a Game Changer live. It's an experience. So the book accelerates you. The live experience, whether you're watching virtually or in person, accelerates you. I want them to get in this, almost like a time machine. So instead of taking a decade to get there, let's go get you there in 1 or 2 years versus 20. And I'm inviting them to go get your book, get you a ticket to the event, and I want you to come be with us. I want you to experience the power and the protocols and the principles of what we call being a game changer.
And what's the date? One more time. What's the date?
Yeah, the date is August 29th. Go, and to get a ticket to the event, just buy my book, and then the book is free. So just cover the shipping. You get a ticket, you get the ebook, the audiobook, the physical book, everything inside there. And then come join us on August 29th, and it'll change your world, guaranteed.
Man, I'm glad we did this. Guys, make sure you go to the show notes. We already got the book in the show notes. Go click the link in the show notes. Be sure to make sure you grab this book. You're going to see this guy speaking across many, many stages. And for those of you that have been listening, I want you to always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. We'll see you next week. Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.